So greetings everyone, this is Devesh Kirubhakaran J here with a lecture session on the linguistic topic regional variations in language. So let's get started. So the introduction. So there are so many aspects and variations in language, particularly in English, and not only the standard written form we studied previously. So English language has many variations like on the basis of geographical areas as well as on the basis of social aspects. So in this lecture we will be focusing upon the regional variations in language, which is on the basis of the area. So we studied only about the standard English form. Either it can be standard Indian English or standard British English and so on. So there are also other variations which will be dealt in this lecture session. First, standard language. So standard language is the idealized common variety of language, which is the English language we use in written form as well as for media, educational purposes, which could be understood by everyone around the world, or at least to the extent in our country. Like the English used in our news channels, newspapers, or all of this sort. It does not belong to any specific geographical location. It mainly belongs to a collective form of communication. Then, accent. So, accent refers to the aspects of pronunciation alone. The pronunciation matters, how it is being, the words are being expressed and pronounced. So, there are also individual accents as well as collective accents in variations, varying upon economical basis, geographical basis, and also the personal background. So here's a example given. You don't know what you're talking about. So this is a sentence which is the same when anyone speaks, but it differs in the form of accent. This could be spoken in many accents. Like I said, varying upon individual basis as well as on community basis. Then dialect. Dialect is the variation within a language. Specifically in this lecture we will be dealing with the geographical area where the three aspects, vocabulary, grammar and pronunciation, changes. So there are many dialects in English language, like there's a Midland dialect, Anglo-Saxon dialect, Kentish dialect, etc. Here's an example given. Yeah, Dene came with here having a boot. So this is not a change in pronunciation, but rather it's a change in the complete spelling, grammar, vocabulary, etc. No, the three are the main aspects. So in the previous example sentence, we saw that the same sentence is said in different ways of pronunciation, but here the entire structure itself changes. Moving on to regional dialects. So regional dialects are the variations of a particular language in rural areas in special basis. There is another variation known as social dialects, which will be dealt in the next lecture session. But here the regional dialects specifically refer to rural areas, because social dialects will be dealing with more with the city, since there will be economic differences as well as background. But in rural areas it will be based on geographical areas only. So here it is also done, it is majorly done through the help of norms, non-mobile old rural male speakers, chosen because they travel less and they would have imbibed most of the communication aspects, living in the same place for a greater period of time. Here are two examples given. Example, those three guys, spoken in Brooklyn, successful assistant spoken in New York, etc. So these dialects could be understood only by the people living over there, and it cannot be spoken in news channels or any other media or educational purposes, because it cannot be understood by every people using the same language. Then isogloss. Isogloss refers to the differences in individual linguistic terms from different dialects. belonging to the same language, which is represented through dotted lines on a geographical map, physical map. So, linguistic terms refers to the words which differ geographically. For example, paper bag is used in a particular place and paper sack is used in another place. Pail and bucket similarly. Both these words, pairs of words, mean the same, but they are used differently in different places. Then dialect boundaries. So the combination of many isoglosses combined together with many linguistic differences is known as dialect boundary. A thicker line is drawn on a geographical map. See, it could be a digital map also. I just meant map. A thicker line represents a major dialect boundary. For example, I have given you so many linguistic terms: kerosene and coal oil, slippery and sleek, get sick and take sick, etc. They mean the same, but they are used in different forms by different people belonging to different geographical areas. So then, pidgin. Pidgin refers to the trade or business language used mainly to run errands, known as contact language, which has no native speakers. No formal native speakers, just used for specific business purposes. For example, Chok Pidgin, Papua New Guinea. This later developed into a Creole. So, mouse grass meaning mustache, bad belong face meaning bad. These are the two terms which are used in pidgin language, pidgin English. So this is also said to be derived from the English word business, where the Chinese people transform this into pidgin, business, business, pidgin, so on. And then Creole. So when a pidgin language develops beyond being a contact language only used for running errands and running business, developing its own complex grammar and own rules with own native speakers, children growing up in the particular area where pidgin is being spoken, it develops into a Creole. Example, the same Tokpesan language which transformed to a Creole, Papua New Guinea. Then conclusion. So there are many variations in English language other than the standard written, as well as the standard language which is used in media and for educational purposes, etc. in World Wide Web and so on. So this helps us study the evolution and division of English language, which further contributed to its spread around the world. So thank you. So you would be able to study this collectively, because regional variation, first of all, starting from standard language, we go on to how standard language is analyzed, accent and dialect, and how this dialect is further divided into regional dialect. And how these differences could be analyzed through isogloss and dialect boundaries, and how further languages are developed specific with special characteristics like pidgin and Creole. So this is how we could easily analyze. So thank you. I hope I have added something to your understanding of regional variations in language. Kindly do like, comment if any, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.